Hey, what's going on guys? Today I'm going to be doing a ground up tactical Tippmann M4 build. This Tippmann is a refurbished version 1 model, so although the body isn't flawless, the internals have all been renewed and the version 2 updates have been added into the rifle, including the much needed extended tabs on the upper receiver. So I have here the bare Tippmann upper and lower receiver. The first thing I'm going to do is install a 3/4 inch buffer tube spacer onto the spring guide. This buffer tube spacer short strokes the recoil spring, and by doing so increases the maximum rate of fire as well as increasing the overall FPS by about 50. If you know the Tippmann M4 platform, then you know that both the rate of fire and the FPS screws are completely adjustable, meaning you can fine tune the rifle for exactly how you need it, whether you're playing indoor or outdoor. So although I am increasing the FPS by 50, it is still adjustable and can be reduced if shooting too hot. I'm going to speed up most of this install because I have covered a lot of these individual installs on their own, so be sure to check the video description for those links. There are quite a few in this video. Once the buffer tube spacer has been added, I put the upper receiver back on the lower, and it's time to move on to the barrel. I'm using a 240mm by 6.05mm tight bore inner barrel, and of course it has been personally S-hopped by me for improved groupings and range. For the bucking, I went back to my personal favorite, the G&G green, and this has had all inner molds removed and has been flat hopped to work perfectly with the S-hopped barrel. I slide the bucking on, ensuring the area covering the hop-up window is flat, and then secure it in place with the proprietary Tippmann barrel clips. From here, the inner barrel simply slides into the outer barrel, and I'm ready to lock it into place. From my experience with the Tippmann M4 platform in the past, I know that I'm going to need some shims to install this rail system. What I've done here is simply cut up an old keychain ring and opened it up to the size that I need to act as a really thick shim. I didn't want to mess around with using a bunch of thin shims, so I went ahead and got one at the exact size that I need. Holding the shim in place, I can now twist on the barrel nut that came with my rail system, locking the inner and outer barrel assembly in place. For the stock, I really love the ICS high-speed retractable stocks on all of my non-AEG builds, so I went with this stock in the classic black to complete the look. This stock is sturdy and has a really tight fit on gas blowback buffer tubes, which I love as it never shifts out of place even when a ton of pressure is being put on it. For the rail system, I wanted a real sleek and tactical look, so I went with the PTS Centurion Arms 10-inch rail system, allowing for the easy attachment of M-LOK rail accessories. For my offhand grip, I threw on a BCM Gunfighter vertical grip. I love the slight angle that this has to it off of the rail, and it feels really comfortable to grip, especially when laying my thumb along the rail. It falls perfectly in place for my flashlight pressure pad. And reiterating that this rifle is refurbished, I simply added some aesthetic pieces that were missing when I got the rifle. For the hop-up in this build, I'm using a brand new Tippmann manufactured TDC, or top dead center hop-up if you're not familiar with the term. This hop-up is super easy to use and has enough vertical movement to engage with the S-hop and lift the heavier BBs that I use. For my backup optics, I threw on some spare iron sights that I had laying around, but for my main optic, I'm using a mid-10 1x micro red dot, as they are affordable and have worked really well for me in the past. And off camera, I added an EMG Guardian suppressor to complete the look, alongside a really sleek M-LOK tactical flashlight paired with a really nice pressure pad. Once again, you can find links to all the products that I used in this video in the description below, along with a few other videos covering a few of the individual installs shown here. So that about covers it for the rifle parts, but it wouldn't be an effective video if you couldn't see how all of these parts work with one another. So at the Chrono station, I was seeing a variance of only 3.9 FPS out of my 5-shot spread, which for a gas blowback Tippmann is insanely impressive. The Tippmann M4 operates at a PSI of around 800, so it's sending a lot of air down the barrel on every trigger pull. I usually pride myself whenever I can get the variance under 7 FPS, but man, I knocked it out of the park on this build. I also fine-tuned the rate of fire adjustment for the highest possible rate of fire, and although I don't have an exact reading on the rate of fire for you, I was thoroughly surprised with my results. So I took this rifle out to my local field for the final inspection, and I put a few mags through it to start to bed the internals in. I actually built this entire rifle to sell and fund my next project, so I didn't want to take it out on the field and skirmish with it, risking aesthetic damage for my buyer. It took a little while to fine-tune the hop-up, but once I got it dialed in, it was performing great. The S-hop was clearly engaging my BBs, as the shots were much more consistent than you would see with the stock Tippmann. A few thousand more rounds through this rifle, and the minor inconsistencies should be minimalized as the bucking and S-hop patch start to bed in. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. For all you Tippmann owners out there, I hope this gives you an idea for upgrading and maintaining your rifle. As always, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.